Now, we have the last presentation. Civic and political space. Here they're given only 15 minutes. I hope the Minister of Peace Building is around. Minister of Interior, NGO Forum, South Sudan Council of Churches, Islamic Council, and Bar Association. There's supposed to be a panel to discuss. So we have our 5 panelists, civic and political space. There's the topic, essential ingredients for South Sudan's constitutional making and electoral processes. So who starts it? Starts with the Minister of Peace Building. Okay.
Your Excellency, First Vice President, and with the rest of the protocol observed, this is a panel, so it's an academic setting. I will not go through the whole protocol, which is observed. The topic at hand is open civic and political space during the transitional period and beyond. And this is a cardinal provision of the Transitional Constitution of South Sudan, Article 24, the freedom of expression. This is something we have been talking about as a country, that for us, create a new political dispensation in the country, we need open civic and political space. This has been there even before the crisis of 2013. It is a constitutional right of the people of South Sudan that has always been violated. So we have lived in a culture of silence, and this comes from our background as a liberation army, where we developed a culture of silence and cultural monologues. No culture of dialogues, and whenever we go for a dialogue, we fight. That is what our history tells us. And it is very unfortunate because that is the freedom we fought for. Sometimes we confuse freedom with independence. You can be independent without being free. And that has been our experience. Today, we are led by former freedom fighters. And I think we understand what freedom means. Our martyrs died for freedom, and we have attained an independence without freedom. It's a terrible contradiction. And that is why we addressed it during the peace talk. The RRCs has ushered in an era of dialogues. And if you read the agreement from chapter 1 up to chapter 8, which is to play the supremacy of the agreement which has been incorporated into our constitution is an agreement of reform, political reform, constitutional reform, truth and reconciliation, healing, and so on and so forth. This cannot be done without open political space, because you cannot build peace in silence. The peace agreements that we are implementing here today, which is actually the framework that established Artigono, is here to transform our political culture from the culture of political violence to culture of dialogue. We introduce civility in our politics. and that is to shun political militarism first and foremost. That is why in Chapter 2 of this agreement, there is a stipulation for establishment of non-partisan national army, professional security sector. That means demilitarizing politics in South Sudan. Of course, as I mentioned before, we know where we come from the background of the Liberation Army, which was actually about war. Today, Professor Abenigo mentioned a very important thing, and we have mentioned this so many times during this forum, and that is introductions of peace culture. And actually, that is the most difficult thing during this transition and beyond, because there must be a cultural environment for peace. Peace is mindset. Conflict starts in the mind. We must end it there, not on papers. We can sign all kinds of agreements. We can also write permanent constitution. We can also make all public pronouncement about democracy. But if we have not changed the mindset, we will live with conflict. And that is the difference between conflict and war. People live with conflict, it can simmer. And it has been simmering until sometime it will explode in political violence. Where there is no culture of talking, culture of war, culture of fighting prevail. And that is our background here in South Sudan. We don't have culture of dialogue. We don't have culture of democracy. Fortunately, we have given ourselves another 24 months dialogues as a nation. And that demands free and open political space. I will close my opening statement for this panel with a word of one of the African freedom fighters, one of the leaders of Zimbabwe, Joshua Nkoma, who said, and I quote, that the most mind-boggling thing that I have met in my life is that we have ended up in Zimbabwe with freedom without freedom. So today we are talking about freedom of expression, and we can do that only in open and free civic and political space.